Hey everyone, I'm Alexis and welcome. You know, I'm actually doing my hair flip. Like, that's weird. Sorry, I'm changing up my intro, so that's a little bit weird. Let's try that again. Okay, you ready? You ready? Hey everyone, I'm Untitledqueenalexis. Love me. Anyway. Today, we are looking at the Warhammer 40k April updates. This includes the updates to the main rulebook as well as the updates to some of the FAQs, mostly the armies that I play, okay? Now, that being said, I think we're just going to kind of jump right into this because there is a lot to cover in this, okay? And with me, I have... Oh no, Knights got nerfed. Don't tell me. These are like spoilers worse than Endgame. Anyway, there's a lot to cover. The main rulebook is one of the biggest things. I have my buddy John here with me. He's going to help me go through all of the questions that you guys ask. If you guys do want to ask questions during the live stream, please be sure to say at Untitledqueenalexis or at Captain Jono, and we will get those questions right away. If you want to ask your question immediately, you can simply use the super chat feature. It goes a long way to helping out the channel. So, let's get into this. Blah, 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 FAQ. Okay, good. We read that first paragraph. Wobbly model syndrome. Wobbly model. We've had several questions asking for clarity about how exactly wobbly model syndrome rules should be used to place models in count as locations. We are a bit surprised by this question. To be clear, our intention for wobbly model syndrome was that it should serve only as a hint or tip to prevent the model from getting damaged should they be placed in a location where they would be in danger of falling over. If the table was not... Anyway, essentially what they're doing now is they're making it so that you can't place models in the middle of buildings or sideways on buildings. And some of the more cheeky things that people have been doing, like, oh, well, I'm going to balance it up on this, like, triangle, so wobbly model, my entire gargantuan creature can fit up there now. And they're trying to get rid of that kind of thing. By the way, the Hiriden can actually do that. Like, it used to be able to do that. Now it looks, now the rule looks like it's pretty much, yeah. No part of a model or its base can be set up or moved over the edge of the battlefield. That's an interesting one. I didn't think that needed clarification, but apparently that did. So, yeah. Yeah. But the wobbly model thing is definitely the biggest. Disembarking from destroyed transports. Ooh, interesting. It turns out that there is nothing in the core rules that prevents a unit that has been forced to disembark from its transport because it was destroyed as the result of an Overwatch attack action from immediately declaring a charge. I thought that was pretty clear, actually, because you declare all your charges at once. See, I always did the charge phase a little bit differently than the core rulebook. I declare all of my charges and where they're going to go from. So if my vehicle got destroyed in Overwatch, I assumed that unit could not charge because, well, I didn't declare the charge with it. And if I'm already resolving Overwatch, it feels like it's a little bit past that point, but I digress. I'm an older player, so that's how I always did it. This was never the intent, and some players have been exploiting this oversight and declaring charges against every possible unit in order to get their own transports destroyed so that they can disembark their elite units in a very choppy units a few inches closer. Ooh, that is a really good idea. Why did I ever think of that? That is an amazing idea. I should have thought of that. I should have been exploiting that. Although anytime I declared a charge with like a rhino or something, I would just get into combat because it's a rhino. Add the following sentence to the end of the third paragraph. Units cannot declare a charge during the same turn that They have disembarked from a destroyed transport. Now that's pretty cool because of Yanari's soul burst and things of that nature. So that's pretty interesting. But I think they got rid of that soul burst interaction in this update and in the White Dwarf update. Moving with units that can fly in the charge phase. Okay, so before I go into this, okay, I wanna try to make my intentions clear here. This is how I did it. Units with fly can move over stuff as though it wasn't there in the movement phase, but in the charge phase, if there was an obstacle in front of them, they wouldn't move like this, but instead move over to it, up and over. That's how I ruled it, and that's how I ruled it for my league that I'm running. So I'm interested to see how they actually ruled it now. Okay. Oh, they updated flip belts too. Thank God, those things were so dumb. My nail is broken. Oh, that's such a pain. Anyway. And the corresponding FAQ were intended to answer the commonly question that arose when units would fly were attempting to charge units on top of terrain features and vice versa. And then the charge roll was required, was genuine. We believe the most elegant way to resolve this issue was simply to disallow units that can fly to ignore intervening models and terrain during the charge phase. Yeah, that seems simple. Since then, we've had a lot of feedback from players who feel the inability to ignore intervening models when charging was unduly affected the effectiveness of their flying units. It didn't really. On reflection, we believe that they are right. Well, they're not. They're just whiny little babies that want to cheat with their custodian jet bikes. And I'm a custodian jet bike flyer, so keep that in mind. We believe that they are right. It was currently not our intention to affect the balance of any of these units by our changes, models. What? Yes, it was. It was the exact reason to balance it. Sorry. Models were excluded only because certain terrain features, especially certain fortifications such as bastions, bunkers, etc., are technically models and not terrain features. That is true. And we thought it was odd that models that could fly could not charge over ruins, but they could charge over a bastion quite happily. As a result, we are replacing our previous errata and the corresponding FAQ updates with a revised version that simply prevents units from ignoring intervening terrain features such as ruins, sector mechanicus, woods, etc. when charging, thereby clearing up the original ambiguity. My accent is going to kill me on this word. Ambiguity. Nope, I can't. I tried. My accent is preventing.
Ambiguity.
Ambiguity. Thank you. My accent is destroying that word, by the way. But with the exception of buildings allowing them to once again fly over invading models. By buildings, we mean that there are specific models with the building keywords such as bastions, fortifications, Fortress of Redemption, and certain other models with the fortification battle roll. And absolute clarity, they can charge. The change to this errata means that models that can fly cannot move across buildings or any other terrain feature if they were not there when charging. Okay, so essentially you have to go around things now. Easy enough. Holy cow. That is a lot of stuff. Okay. John, would you like to read the core rulebook change moving?
Let me just scroll down real quick.
The data sheet for
aircraft.
Here we go. Okay, I'll just read it. Change the second paragraph to read, if the data sheet for a model says it can fly, then during the movement phase, it can move across models as though they were not there. When moving across terrain features, vertical distance is not calculated. Oh, is not counted for the total. It can move. i.e., moving vertically is free for the model in the movement phase. If the datasheet for the model says it can fly during the charge phase, it can move across models other than buildings as though they were not there. Wait, does that mean that I can take my jet bike, or let's just say, okay, let's say a heavily wounded hovering tank that can only move 6 inches, and I can move it up a 12-inch building because it doesn't calculate for moving across it? Or does that mean that if I were to move past the building, that I wouldn't count that vertical distance? Does that make sense? I feel like that makes sense.
Yeah, I think as long as it's like you don't stop on it, you're fine.
Well, I'm not entirely sure, but I think so. Wraith form. It's changing the same thing. Veteran, Vanguard Strike, change the second can move across. Yep, same thing.
Yep.
Deathwatch, Intercessors, Intercept Strike, Teleporter. During movement phases. Okay, so they changed all the models that have that ability to being able to use the same ability as fly. Aircrafts. We started noticing that aircrafts, typically units with flying battlefield roles or minimum move, whilst the rules to be very clear on the matter, does not feel contrary to After all, the aircrafts employed using this tactic, well... Okay, do you want to read aircrafts really quickly? Let's just go down the whole thing real quick.
Just the rules parts?
Yeah.
Warhammer 40k Rulebook, page 177, Movement Phase. Add the following text to the into the Movement Phase section. Aircraft. If a unit can fly and it has a minimum move characteristic, or if it has a damage table on its datasheet that includes any minimum move characteristic, that unit gains the aircraft keyword.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I like. All right, let's keep going.
Whenever a model makes any kind of move, it can be moved within 1 inch of an enemy aircraft, and it can be moved across such model and their base as if they were not there. But it cannot end the move on top of another model or its base, and cannot end the move within 1 inch of any enemy units.
Huh. It can be moved within... Huh. Interesting. Okay. All right. Makes sense, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so that way you can't be like, oh, I'm 1 inch of the aircraft, but I'm also 1 inch away from everything else.
Yeah, that's true enough. All right, next part.
If, when a unit is selected to move in the movement phase, the only enemy units that are within 1 inch of it are aircraft, then it can still make a move, i.e., it does not have to fall back in order to move.
Okay, so it still has to fall back if it's surrounded by jump infantry, though. Right?
I suppose?
Yeah, because it's in combat. So aircrafts don't lock each other in combat. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it pretty much just ignores the ground for the
You
most
know,
part in terms of movement.
that's another thing I never thought of doing. Assaulting things with my aircrafts.
Oh, geez. How very orky of you.
Like, I never thought of just, taking my Avenger Strike Fighter and assaulting in the Eldar Wraith, whatever the heck it's called. Resetting up models. There are several abilities, stratagems, and psychic powers that let players remove a unit from the battlefield and then set it up in a different location. But these rules are causing some confusion. The confusion is partly because it is not clear whether or not any effects that apply to a unit before it was removed from the battlefield continue to apply when it's set back up. Also, because of wording of the rule, it's sometimes written as though the unit is set up as if it were reinforcements, even though they technically are already on the battlefield. Or on the battlefield already. The intent of the rule is that they, as if they were reinforcement wording, was to try to make it clear that the units counted as moving for the purposes of moving and firing heavy weapons, and that they can They can't move further again to this turn. You know what would have been really easy? Instead of having to reword everything, if you just came up with a simple rule for anything that's re-arriving or arriving on the turn for, um, like it's coming from the sky. What was that called? Deep striking. If they would just make the keyword deep striking. I mean, they just made a keyword for aircraft. Make a keyword for deep striking. To clarify how this ability, stratagems, and psychic power work, they were adding the following FAQ in order to... Okay, are we ready to go through the FAQ for this?
Do we want to go through the pre-printed one?
Let's just start on page 4 on the top.
All right. Question: What rules apply to units that are removed from the battlefield after deployment via ability, stratagems, or psychic powers, and are then back up again on the battlefield? Answer: If a rule or ability causes a unit to be removed from the battlefield and subsequently set back up, the following rules apply to that unit. Oh, okay. Wow.
Any rules that are triggered by or applied to a unit that are set up on the battlefield is important. Also trigger and apply to that unit when they are set up on the battlefield. Okay, so that's for like Dark Angels being able to teleport across the battlefield and being able to shoot their weapons. Models in that unit count as having moved a distance equal to their movement characteristic during that turn. Okay. If it has a minimum move characteristic, it counts as having moved its maximum movement characteristic. Okay, so that's for like teleporting an aircraft, which orcs can do. Models in that unit cannot move again during that turn for any reasons other than making a charge move to pile in or to consolidate. Shouldn't it be and/or? I feel that it should be and/or because this right here makes it so that because it's not or, because it's strictly or, this makes it so that if you make a charge move, you can't pile in. Because it's make a charge move to pile in or to consolidate. I feel like they worded that very badly. So their FAQ needs an FAQ. If the unit was within 1 inch of an enemy and unit was removed, does it count as falling back? Oh, it does not count as falling back. Ooh. I like that rule. If a unit has advanced during this turn, it still counts as having advanced after it has been set up on the battlefield. Oh. Well, according to the other rule, it can't even advance. So, according to 3, it can't advance. So just saying. Any destroyed models that were removed are still destroyed. No, duh. Any model in that unit that have lost wounds do not regain those wounds when they are removed. I could see people doing this. Any rules that unit has been affected by when removed and would continue to affect for a specific duration, continue to affect such a unit. Okay. Do not apply to unit using... Okay. Organized event guidelines. Our Demon Prince datasheet from Codex Chaos Space Marines, the Demon Prince of Chaos datasheet from Codex Demons, the Demon Prince of Nurgle datasheet from Codex Death Guard, and the Demon Prince of Tzeentch datasheet from Codex Thousand Sun, all considered different datasheets for the purposes of organized events guidelines. No, for the purposes of these guidelines, all of those datasheets are considered to be the same. That is stupid! That is so dumb, though! Oh my god! They're clearly different, though. They even have different stats and abilities.
That's confusing.
Oh my god, that is dumb. I liked Flying Circus. No, they even changed it for heavy weapon squads and Lehman Russes. Oh my god, that's so dumb. Hi, Swarms Mackenzie. How are you doing?
Swarms.
Note that in the cases of Demon Princes and Brood Brother heavy weapon teams, both Chaos and Gene Silicotes have access to rules by which they can add new units to their army during the battle. demonic ritual, telepathic summons, as is the case for the units that are sick in the army, blah, blah, blah. What? Okay, so if you bring in demon princes as reinforcements, they're okay. But you can't just bring them in. But you have to put the points aside for them. So they're in your army list, but you can't bring them in unless you summon them if you have 3 demon princes that are slightly different. That's stupid. I'm going to say it right now. That is really dumb. That is incredibly dumb. Okay. Finalized matched play rules. Bolter Discipline. Bolter Discipline was introduced as a beta in the February issue of White Dwarf. We've received a lot of feedback about the rule. Yeah, especially its exclusion of women. It is clear that the original wording led to some unintended consequences. Whilst it helped bolster the ranks and file of bolter-wielding Space Marines or Chaos Space Marines, certain vehicles, notably those with Hurricane bolters, much better than we anticipated. For those reasons, we have decided to amend the rule so that it excludes vehicles. All right, Dreadnoughts are useless again. Dreadnoughts are good for a little bit. While it's technically vehicles, we feel that these units wage war in a manner closer to their flesh and blood brothers. Okay, so with the exception of Dreadnoughts and Hellbrutes, so those guys still get the Bolter Beta rule, but your Hurricane Bolter that's on a Land Raider does not get it. God, that's dumb. Land Raiders were almost good for a second. Like, they were almost good. I had 3 of them put aside. I had all the Hurricane Bolters, and I was just like, oh. All right, Bolter Discipline. All Adeptus Astartes, Heretic Astartes, and Fallen models gain the ability. Okay, so they're still excluding Sisters of Battle, which have the Godwin Diaz pattern bolter. Sisters of Silence, which actually use the same bolter as Space Marines. They're excluding anybody that has a bolter, which is fine. I'm actually annoyed more that it doesn't affect Sisters of Silence, considering that their bolter is actually the Space Marine bolter. Like, it's the same bolter. So that's really irritating. But I digress. Maybe they'll get something in this, or they won't. They probably won't. Okay, Codex Deathwatch. Specialist in ammunition, change the first paragraph is to read, when this unit fires any ranged weapon to the following list, it can choose the special... If you do so, the Bolter Discipline ability does not apply when resolving their shots, but instead you choose the kind of ammunition from the table. Oh, wow, they made Deathwatch worse. Oh, come on. Okay, whatever. Deathwatch are bad again. Finally, we also received a lot of questions asking whether the Bolter Discipline ability should also apply to other bolter-wielding warriors of the Imperium, notably the Adeptus Custodes, Adeptus Sororitas. For clarity, the Bolter Discipline rule was not intended to make all bolt guns better, but rather make warriors of the Adeptus or Hereticus Astartes who wielded them better. As a result, we are not adding Bolter Discipline to any units in other factions. In other words, GW realized that people weren't buying Space Marines. Why are everything else selling and Space Marines aren't? Gee, it's not because they're a bad army with very lacking capabilities that aren't Blood Angels or Dark Angels. It's because of their bolters. Let's make their bolters. Come on. No.
Well, you don't want the Sisters of Battle getting their cooties all over their Bolter Discipline.
I know, right? It's not like the Adeptus Sororitas train for hours a day to use their bolters, take it apart, reassemble it, put sacred undulants all over it, treat their bolters like it's a work of art and a sacred relic to them, and are highly trained, extremely well-trained militia. Nah, it's because the Space Marine bolters are better because they're better. Or the Custodians, like, really? Not the custodians. They actually need a buff. Prepared positions. Use a stratagem at the start of the round, but before the turn begins, unit in... other than Titanic units, aircrafts. Okay, so Titanic units and aircrafts don't really gain the prepared position rule. Ooh. John, read the tactical restraint part.
Okay. Tactical restraint. The tactical restraint match play rule was introduced as a beta back in autumn of 2018. Based on your feedback, we have clarified the command points gained via psychic powers are. We have clarified that command points gained via psychic powers are included, and one small change to exclude command points that are spent on stratagems that are used before the battle has begun from being refunded at all. This is now the final form of this match play rule.
This
Tactical
isn't even its final form. Don't let it lie to you.
Yeah, this isn't even. Sorry. Tactical restraint. There are several warlord traits, relics, psychic powers, and abilities that give you a chance to gain or refund command points. Each player can only gain or have refunded a total of 1 command point per battle round as a result of such rule, regardless of the source, and command points that are spent on stratagems that are not used during the battle round, such as those that are used before the battle, can never be refunded. The limit of gaining or refunding 1 command point per battle round does not apply to the movement shackle or the sevenfold chant abilities, or to the player of the Twilight Warlord trait. In these cases, the ability/warlord trait can refund or gain the player more than 1 command point if the stratagem used costs 2 or more command points to use. But once any command points have been gained as a result of the rule, neither it nor any similar rule can be used to gain any more command points until the next battle round. Also note that this does not apply to command points that are gained or refunded as specifically instructed on the stratagems, e.g. feeder tendrils and agents of Vect. So you can't do it, but you totally can, though.
I know, right? You can't do this. This is a restriction. This is clearly a restriction, except for this and this, but not these, but some of this. But even though this has the exact same ruling, you can only use it on this. Whatever.
Only 1 per battle round, unless you have a feeder tendril, agents of Vect, player of Twilight, sevenfold chant, movement shackle.
Tactical reserves. Okay, I wonder if they fixed tactical reserves, because I just found a strategy that lets my entire Genestealer cult army hide in reserve. Like, everything. It's incredible. Instead of being set up on a battlefield during deployment, many units have the ability to be set up and teleport. Deep Strike. Okay? Deep Strike gets rid of this entire sentence. In order to arrive on the battlefield mid-game as reinforcements. When setting up your army during deployment in a match play game, at least half of the total number of units in your army must be set up on the battlefield, and the combined points value of all units set up in the battlefield during deployment, including those that are embarked aboard transports that are set up on the battlefield, must at least be half of your army's total point value, even if every unit in your army has an ability that would allow them to be set up elsewhere. They don't allow my Genestealer cult tactic. No, they still might. Furthermore, in matched play games, units that are not placed on the board during deployment in order to arrive on the battlefield mid-game as reinforcements cannot arrive on the battlefield during the first battle round. Okay, so that gets rid of the Eldar Webway portal shenanigans. Finally, any units that has not arrived on a battlefield by the end of the 3rd battle round in a match play count as having been destroyed. Okay, yeah, I'm okay with that. So I can't hide my guys in... Yeah. Well, Space Marines have centuries of experience. Yeah, it doesn't take that long to learn a gun.
That's true.
I'm sorry, you learn Boulder Discipline very quickly. For clarity, this match play rule does not apply to units that are set up on the battlefield during deployment, but that use stratagems, ability, psychic powers to be removed from the battlefield and set back up during the first or subsequent battle rounds. Also note that part of the matched play rule applies to... Note that no part of the match play rule applies to units that are added to your army during the battle. Such as those that require reinforcements points to be added. These units cannot be set up anywhere on the battlefield during deployment because they do not exist until the point where the rule that creates them is used, and in that point is always deployed has finished. Okay. Does that mean you can summon during turn 1 again?
Maybe.
God, that is... Okay. Okay. Alright. Codex Space Marine, strike from the shadows. How many times are they going to butcher this rule? Let's see. Use this stratagem during deployment when setting up a Raving Guard infantry unit from your army. At the start of the first battle round, but before the first turn begins, you can move up to 9 inches. It cannot end its movement within 9 inches of an enemy model. If both players have units that have an ability that allows them to yada yada yada, each unit can only be selected. Okay. Okay. All right. So this is a terrible version of my repressors, not my repressors. This is a terrible version of my Vanguard movement. Hopefully they don't hit my Vanguard movement. Codex Chaos Space Marines, forward operatives. Change the stratagem to read. Use the stratagem during deployment when you set up an Alpha Legion infantry unit from your army at the start of the first battle round, but before the first move up to 9 inches, it cannot be... Wow, they made these all terrible. Okay. Yeah, they made all of these terrible. But they didn't hit the repressor. They didn't hit sisters. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. Okay. Imperial Knight stratagems have been changed once again. Wow, they changed the crap out of them. Gene Seal Occult Psychic Powers. Ooh, Mental Onslaught. Change the last sentence of this ability to read. If your score is higher, the enemy model unit suffers 1 mortal wound. If the selected model is still alive, you can repeat this. Each player rolls a d6, adding their... It's destroyed, or your opponent rolls a 6, or your opponent's result is equal to or higher than yours. Oh, they changed it so that if your opponent rolls a 6, it stops. I liked Mental Onslaught killing Titans.
That sounds disgusting.
Oh, it was disgusting. Oh, wow. Rotate ion shields. Change the command point count. Cost from stratagem 1 CP to 1/3? Why is it 1/3? Unit from your army has an invulnerable save. Use this stratagem. Cost 3 CP if targeting a unit with the Dominus class. Otherwise, it costs 1 CP. Oh, wow. They made bigger Titans easier to kill. Okay. I mean, I never had a problem killing Knights. Like, Knights were so easy to kill. Okay. Imperial Assassin Stratagem. Oh, wow, that's a lot of them. Change the restriction to read. You can only use this stratagem if your warlord has the Imperium Factor keyword. Yada, yada, yada. Use this stratagem during deployment. Add 1 Officio Assassinorum unit of your choice to your army. Remember that in matched play games, you must pay reinforcement points for any new units added to your army. You cannot use this stratagem more than once per battle. Okay. Orcs changed mob up. Change the first sentence of the Change the first and second sentence of this stratagem to read. Use this stratagem at the end of your movement phase before setting up reinforcement units from your... Oh, they got rid of the ability for 2 infiltrating units of commandos to just fuse together. I like that ability. Craft World Psychic Powers. I don't know enough about Craft World, so I'm just going to go past that. Point values. Knight Castellan went up by a crap ton. Oh my god, did he go up by a crap ton? Okay, wait, did he just go up by 100 points? Wait, why is the Chaos one more? What? Wait, it went up by 100 points. Ouch! Okay, 40 points for the one, and... No, that... Ow! That sucks. Okay, and with that, we end this portion of the update. We are just going to get to some of the FAQs, not all of them, but I don't get the mental onslaught nerf. It was already requires a lot of conditions to actually work. Yeah, it's weird that mental onslaught got hit, but yet mental onslaught got hit, but the Eldar one didn't. So I'm kind of annoyed by that. Did they? Maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed it. No, I definitely didn't. I hope the Harlequin one got hit. Eldar never get nerfed. No, they don't really get nerfed. Concealed revealed. Aw, thank you. With that, House Kane takes a big hit. It does. It does. But it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. I'm okay with this.
I'm fine.
Okay, so erratas. Let's go through some of these. I haven't read most of Shadespire yet, so I don't care too much for Shadespire. I do want to check Harlequins because I do want to see if they hit the Harlequin ability. Astra Militarum, I don't play enough to actually get theirs. Tau Empire, again, I don't. Space Marines, let's see if they got better. Blood Angels, I don't play enough of, and same with Dark Angels. But I'm... Forces of the Adeptus Astartes. Please tell me, please tell me they did not hit the Repressor. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I'm going to open up the Tyranid one as well and the Custodian one. I don't play my Knights enough. Let's see. What other ones do I want to open to go over? Genestealer Cult. Wait a minute. Yeah. Genestealer Cult. I want to go over. Chapter approved, I don't really care about. The rest of these weren't updated. Okay. That's fine. Oh, God. I want to see the nerf to... You know what? No! They hit the repressor! Oh, no! No! I liked my repressor being broken. Oh, my poor sisters are getting worse. Change the fire port ability to read. Up to 6 models embarked on the transport can attack in their shooting phase. Measure the range and draw a line of sight from any point on the model. When you do so, any restrictions or modifiers that apply to models also apply to its passengers. For example, the passengers cannot shoot if the model has fallen back. They cannot shoot exception with pistols. Oh, damn it! One of my main strategies with the repressor was to just rush it at my opponent, get it locked in combat, and then fire out from it. I don't want to read no more FAQ. This sucks. Oh, damn it. I was probably the only one that was using this strategy anyway.
We have a super chat from White. Has the repressor been repressed?
Yes. Okay.
Oof.
So the repressor got hit. Oh, that sucks. Oh, God. I'm really annoyed by that. I don't care about anything else in that book. All right. There's an Eldar Harlequin psychic power that I want to see if it got hit.
Which one?
Let's see. Blitz. A model cannot advance and use this ability in the same turn. Wait, isn't Blitz a chart? An advance? Okay. Can Hero's Path be used in opponent's movement phase? If attacks made with the Death Gesture, Shuriken Cannon uses the Shuriken profile, yada yada yada. I don't really care about that. Rising Central ability during falling back. Don't care about that. Can you use the Blitz ability? No. Okay. Other than that, I don't really care too much about the Harlequins. Space Marines. War gear options. The Intercessor Sergeant can either replace their bolt gun or their bolt rifle with a chainsword, a power sword, or a power fist, or take a chainsword, power sword, or power fist in addition to other war gear. That means you can have one with 2 power fists. Double fisting action. Okay. Crusader's Helm of Black Templar. No one plays Black Templar. Striking the Shadows, we already went over. Can I select the Legion of Damned unit as my chapter keyword? No. Oh, that's lame. Unit with this initial no fear ability takes a morale test is the number that is added to the die roll for the number of destroyed units in that turn considered to be a modifier. No, the number added is not considered a modifier. Oh. So Space Marines don't auto-pass all of their morale tests. Can I use the Signum to increase the ballistic skill characteristic of a model when it shoots a ranged weapon before being removed as casualty as part of the Astartes banner ability? No. Oh, that's totally a yes. Okay. Okay. Can I use this? Can the kill shot stratagem be used after Demos affected Demos pattern predator? No. The kill shot stratagem can only be used to affect models using the predator datasheet. That's so lame. That was the whole reason that I wanted the Forge World Predators. I wanted the plasma cannons with additional damage. That would have been cool. Okay. Can an aspect scan stratagem be used if an enemy unit that was set up on the battlefield before the start of the first turn? No. Oh. If I used a Hellfire Shell or a Flak Missile stratagem and one hit, do I count it damage normally in addition to doing mortal wounds? No. The normal attack sequence ends. Okay, that makes sense.
Man, right. GW handing out these no's.
Yeah, they're finally saying no. Which part of the drop pod should I measure distance from? And yeah, the drop pod one. Just shut up about drop pods. No one uses drop pods. Let's be real. No one uses drop pods this edition. Okay, Tyranids. They changed the bombardment stratagem, which is fine, and the horror changed the second sentence of the psychic power to read, if manifested, select one enemy unit within 24 and visible to the psychic. Oh, I liked hitting things behind a corner. It made sense for them. If a warlord has been given the heightened senses warlord trait, can it suffer the negative modifier to its weapon skill or ballistic skill? Yes, the heightened senses warlord trait only... Huh, okay. That makes sense. And if a unit that is affected by the opportunistic advanced stratagem treated as having advanced for the purposes of shooting or charging in the same turn. Yes. Oh, damn it. They made Tyranids suck. Okay. Adeptus Custodes. Guardian, change the second sentence to the following. Choose one Adeptus Custodes unit from your army that is within 1 inch of an enemy unit and within 3 inches of an objective marker and fight with it next. Okay, that sort of makes sense. Can Adeptus Custodes biker unit from your army that is within 1 inch of an enemy unit declare a charge as a result of swooping dive stratagem. No. Damn it. Okay. Gene Stealer. Oh god, hopefully they fixed the cult ambush rules because wow. Okay. Stupidest role I've played. Live. I don't get you. Sorry. No. GW 2019. April 2019. Cult ambush reveal ambush markers. Change the last sentence of the paragraph to read. Note that unless these units actually move during the movement phase, they do not count as having moved in their movement phase for any purposes such as shooting heavy weapons. So if you use the stratagem that moves them before they're, like, as their blip markers, does that mean that they now don't count, or do they count because they moved?
So, from reading this, apparently if you do a cult ambush, it counts as if you had moved. Well, yes, it does. Wait, oh my god, this is actually really confusing.
Right?
Note that unless these units actually move during the movement phase. Okay, so if you cult ambush and move, then it's bad.
If you cult ambush, reveal, and move, it counts. But if you cult ambush, use the stratagem to move the cult ambush marker, it doesn't count. I think is what they're trying to say.
Yeah,
God, their FAQ needs an FAQ.
This is what happens when you have things like unless but not.
Yeah. Okay. Add the following paragraph to the end of Brood Brothers rule. Units that have the voice of command or tank order ability cannot issue orders to any unit that has the Gene Stealer Cult faction keyword, nor... Okay, thanks. They made our Lehman Russes worse. Brood Brother Torox Prime can only transport 10 Brood Brother officer proficient infantry models or 10 infantry models that have replaced their Ministorum Tempestus keyword with Brood Brothers. Okay. I like the idea of taking a Torox filled with Gene Stealers. They came from below. Any units set up underground in this way cannot arrive on the battlefield during the first battle round. You can only use the stratagem once per battle. Oh, no! That nerfs the bikers! That's what I did every turn. Oh. Okay. Lurk in the shadows. Use this at the end of the phase. Enemy models can only shoot that unit if they are the closest enemy that is visible to them. Okay, so I changed it to be visible. Damn it, England. You invented this stupid language. Learn how to use it. Thank you, Rockstar. I fully agree. Mental Onslaught. Yeah, they nerfed Mental Onslaught, but not the stupid Harlequin one that's better. Ugh. Dumb. Amulet of the Void Worm. Change the second sentence to read. In addition, enemy units cannot fire Overwatch at the bearer's unit.
Oh, rest in peace, Tau.
Yeah, but that doesn't really change anything. Point value. The Ridge Runner. Change the models per unit value to 1 to 3. Okay. Are units in Brood Brother detachments restricted from using regimental orders or all orders? They cannot use regimental orders, but can use other orders. Note that errata above that further clarification which units these orders cannot be used on. Okay, so they can use the normal orders, but they can't use the special issue orders. But in that case, could they use the orders on like a neophyte squad? Because those are technically fall under Brood Brother. Never mind. I don't care. I don't care enough to actually like warrant an actual answer. If a psyker unit containing a model with a wound characteristic or suffers a wound from the Sanctus Silencer sniper rifle, how is the resulting Peril of the Warp resolved? I actually wondered this as well. Okay. The unit suffers powers of the war, blah, 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 blah. I assumed it was just on the one guy. If I target an enemy model within 1 inch of another enemy unit with the mind control psychic power, can I choose to shoot with that model if the power is successfully manifested and I beat its leadership characteristic on 3d6? As this model is now treated as part of your army, it would follow all the normal rules for making shooting attacks whilst within 1 inch of an enemy unit. So, to answer the question is no, unless they are shooting with a pistol weapon or another ranged weapon. Okay, no, that makes sense, because you're taking control of a dude that's next to a dude to shoot the dude with the dude so that he dudes the dude guy and dies. That's basically GW trying to explain FAQs. Okay, so there was no real big point change that I saw. Except for Imperial Knights, which got hit by a lot. Which kind of is weird, because 3 knights in a list is not broken. Like, I've taken on lists with double Castellans before, and it's still not broken. I've taken on lists with double Castellan, and a few Armigers, and it still isn't broken. If your 2,000 point army can't handle 1 or 2 knights, then you built a bad army list. It's not the Imperial Knights' fault for being Imperial Knights. Like, yeah. I don't see the problem with Imperial Knights. Like, maybe I'm just, like, crazy, but giant spooky robots don't scare me. In fact, I'm actually happier fighting them because they don't have insane rules like other armies do. So, with that, I am kind of done going over the FAQs because the other armies here I don't know enough about. If I had somebody here that played the armies extensively, then I would be like, yeah, perfect. So, with that said, let's actually get to some of the questions that John has been grabbing. So, let's hear them.
Indeed. Question: does anyone know if the digital codex and rulebook will automatically be updated with this new FAQ?
If by digital codex and rulebook you mean Battlescribe, probably. I'm sorry.
No,
that was mean. That was mean. That was a joke. That was obviously a joke. GW, please don't shut down my channel for that joke. That was terrible, and I apologize.
no,
I assume
and
so
yes.
within a week or 2.
Yes, it is. Captain Jono, can you see why kids love the taste of cinnamon toast? Dang it, Dungy.
Okay.
Comment from White about the charging rules.
Mm-hmm.
I can't charge my army into a game happening on another table now.
Yeah, I know, right? Wait a minute. Does that actually affect Apocalypse games?
No.
This is an actual question. This is a legit question. Is one table in Apocalypse considered one actual physical table? Like 1 6x4? Or is it considered the 4 by like quadrillion that you have going down? Does that mean that my knight can be assaulted if his pinky toe is like next to the edge of the... Okay. Hear me out on this. Okay. So, at the very corner of the map, so like this corner of the map, you have a Titan, okay? And that Titan is assaulted by a unit of Khorne Berserkers with a bunch of Power Fists. I don't care that they can't take a bunch of Power Fists, but they have a bunch of Power Fists in this example, okay? That Imperial Knight can never pile in because it's onto a different table. And only one of those Khorne Berserkers have to get into that 1 inch margin between tables to hit him. And that means that the Titan can never fall back from that unit because it's not affected. And he's stuck in combat with a unit he can never shoot because it's on a different table.
My God.
See? Problem. I'm just kidding. This is an obvious example of something that's extraordinarily dumb. Anyway, moving on.
This is in regard to the vehicle rule. Stops people blowing up a rhino using plasma, then charging that unit like Khorne Berserkers.
But you get to Overwatch again. Like, this is the problem that I see with it. I declare charges with all of my my rhino against like an entire army. Everything within 12 inches. They shoot and kill it. Okay, the unit pops out and is closer. Okay? But that unit still gets overwatched. Now, they should have changed the rules so that it still had to stay 9 inches away from an enemy model. That way, it... Yeah, well, No, because even then, like, I think it's perfectly fair that the models jump out in front and have, like, a 3-inch charge. You still get to overwatch them. Like, I don't see the problem with that. In fact, I see that as pretty good gameplay mechanics. But I guess you can't do that now, which ultimately means that if you fail a charge, that unit is now extra dead. So, yeah. Like, that's my problem with it, is I didn't see it as game-breaking. I saw it as kind of clever. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I play too many high-level games that I don't mind this kind of level of cheekiness, I guess. Does that make sense? I feel like that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Untitledalexis, after reading the battlefield edge change, does that mean if a flyer's wings are over the edge, that is illegal?
So GW is weird with models now. It used to be that the wings of a model didn't ever count as part of it, and it would just count the hull of the vehicle itself. For example, well, if I had my Avenger Strike Fighter in here, which has really long wings, I'd be like, it doesn't matter that this wing is off the edge of the table, because, simply put, it's not part of the hull, and thus can just rotate and move. But now if a plane actually gets stuck going this way, it can't ever rotate because part of its wing would be over the table edge. I think I need an example for this. So I'm going to go and grab my Avenger Strike Fighter really quickly just to show this. Okay, I grabbed my Avenger. I'm just going to throw in my headphones really quickly, and I want to show people this. So, because the wing actually counts as part of the model, I believe it counts the entire thing. So that means that if this flyer, which is my Avenger Strike Fighter, which is the coolest aircraft in all of 40K, it's terrible, but it's really cool, and I got 3 of them. That means that if this thing ever comes within a 45-degree angle, within 3 inches of a table edge, it cannot turn. Because 90 degrees will actually put this part of the wing itself off the table. So, GW, what the heck? My flyer, if it gets stuck within 3 inches of a terrain, okay, if I accidentally fly my flyer within 3 inches of the edge of the board, flying within a 45-degree angle, all parts of this within the turn will be over the edge of the table because of the 90-degree pivot, which means that the wing will be over, this wing will be over, and it cannot do that. And it has to turn more in order to actually get that to get the angles to be on the table. So I'm pretty sure that I'm probably the only one that's going to point this out. And I'm hoping what they mean is base and not actual part of the model itself. So, that being said, I'm going to put down my Avenger Strike Fighter. There we go. Let's put this over here. Okay, next question.
This is about the basing, or like the edge off table. What if your side of the battlefield is covered with too much decorative terrain, and it is needed for en masse armies, like, example, Imperial Guard Orcs?
Oh my god. I would actually try to agree with your opponent prior to the event itself. Like, prior to the game itself, I'd be like, alright, look, my army is simply too big, and in order to put them all down, I need to do this. And if your opponent's really a stickler for rules, they might force you to deep strike something that can deep strike. Be like, okay, well, too bad.
Yeah.
And they're right. You can't deploy it all. So in a tournament setting, I can see some people doing that, which is ridiculously mean.
Do tournaments generally have like a lot of decorative stuff in the actual deployment zones?
So out of the 2 events that I go to every year, they usually have about 6 to 8 pieces of terrain per table, and all of them usually match the same shapes and everything. So in big tournaments, no, but in like local games and everything, people do love terrain. So it's one of those things where it's like, well, I like scenic terrain, but now it affects everything.
Yeah. So that's something that might be an issue going forward.
It is an issue. All right,
Let's
next
see.
question.
Oh yes, this is coming from Sanguinius. Uh, let me pull it back up again.
Okay.
Oh yes, you kept. This is about the repressor. You kept bringing it up, Alexis. Of course, you get hit.
I
You know,
know,
Duncan
I
watches your stuff.
know. Because I even asked it to a GW person at the event last time I was there. I know that
Ooh.
that one is my fault. I fully accept the consequences for that, but... Okay. In all fairness, it doesn't really affect me too much, and here's why. It just means that my repressor is going to have to get stuck in with infantry instead of hitting a tank and then backing up and then firing everything. So it can no longer do the broken stuff that it used to be able to do, where I would just immediately assault the tank and then blast out of it. And I would never kill the tank, but I could never get shot at, and I could still shoot. So I just have to get my girls out, which means that they die. Yay! Oh,
I mean,
damn it.
it's the bend counter rule, but no, it's kind of weird that it's like I can understand the fall back one, but what I don't understand is you have like you're relegated to the melee rules even though you're in a tank.
Well, I personally think that all vehicles should have had the old repressor rules. Like, to me, that makes sense that a bunch of orcs would be hanging on the side of their vehicle, literally shooting as, like, things are attacking their vehicle. They would think it's fun. The Harlequins, Eldar, would do the exact same thing. They'd be hanging on the edge. And, well, not the Eldar, but the Dukari and the Harlequins would just be slashing away at the sides or shooting their weapons into the melee itself. But I get it for game mechanics, so
Well, I mean, orcs have the boarding plank still.
You know what? This wouldn't have been a problem if GW just keyworded open topped. They also wouldn't have like 1,000 different erratas for deep striking if they just made deep strike a keyword.
Yeah.
Just saying that deep strike should have just been a keyword. Open top should have just been a keyword. There's a lot of things that should have just been keywords and kept in the main rulebook. And really easy, and you just put those rules at the beginning over the army rules. Would have been quick, but I digress.
Indeed. Oh, here's a fun one. Which is worse, Dark Eldar or Slanesh? I actually had a 2 argument about this.
Dark Eldar or Slanesh? I don't know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
I mean, Slanesh is a really good army. How did Slanesh get nerfed?
No, they didn't. I can go ahead and tell you they didn't really even get touched.
Epidemus, Bolt to Change, Demonettes. Seekers have the Demonette keyword. Singe. Fleshhound's data sheet got changed. The Fiends got changed. Blood Crusher got changed. But that's it. That Demons of Slanesh are fine.
Yeah, I think that's not even like a change. I think that's just the one from the what's it called from
it is.
Wrath and Rip.
Wow,
Which
Fiends have 4 wounds. Dang.
Which is probably a good thing because you really don't want GW looking at your army right now because they're handing out L's left and right like Santa on Christmas.
Yeah, they are. Wow, Fiends are really good. I might pick up some Fiends. You move 14 inches, 3 inch, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 4, attacks 4. That's really good. Demonic Quicksilver. Yeah, they definitely upped fiends.
Oh, they meant lore-wise, apparently.
Huh? Oh, lore-wise, I kind of like them both. That makes sense? Okay.
Oh, here's some tabletop insight. Dang, they fixed the typo for obliterators, but didn't fix them to make their points not outrageously chapter approved
Yeah,
2018
well,
overpowered.
oblits were really overpowered back when their points were lower. But I do agree that their points are a bit too high right now for what they do, especially being that they're so big now and they can't really hide as much. So, I'm indifferent about it. I don't really see it as too big of a problem, mostly because I don't have to face them anymore. But I did have 9 of them on my to order list, and now it's down to just a unit of 3.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
I think
Let's
they can
see.
still use like endless cacophony and everything and still be really useful. But I could be wrong about that. I haven't really cracked the Codex open in a long time.
Yeah. Let's see. GW just hates close combat armies and want to remove all ways to actually have CC units do something.
I actually agree with that. Um, Close combat armies have suffered this edition, excluding Blood Angels. Like, Khorne Berserker armies are almost unplayable, especially being that everything out there prevents them from doing what they're supposed to be doing. Um, like, it really hurts. Like, Custodian armies suffer from it with their jet bikes. Sisters of Battle repressors can no longer really do the cool things that they used to be able to do. Um, Actually, that affects the Sisters of Battle for Bloody Rose as well. Huh. Yeah, I mean, it is just a point and shoot game now. So, I mean, they took away close combat for basic Primaris Marines. Like, Primaris Marines have aggressors, and that's it.
I mean, orcs are doing all right close combat army.
They're never topping, though.
That's true.
So, it's one of those things.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like from like a mega competitive standpoint,
Yeah.
that's fair.
And with that, are we all caught up on questions?
We are.
All right. So this video has been going on for over an hour. I want to thank everybody for watching, and I'm probably going to end it here. But before I go, I actually want to show this that I finished the other day. This is my new Demon Prince. You know, the one with the little one and the big one? So yeah, that's my new Demon Prince for them. I really like it. They're adorable. Anyway, guys, I have to come up with a new intro and a new outro for this because I'm still probably going to use Love You Guys Bye, but I need a new intro. So yeah, if you guys have any ideas, comment them in the comment section down below after this video goes up. Okay? Anyway, guys, I'm Alexis. I love you guys. Bye.